What is up, guys? Today I'm filming a commentary video. Today we'll be talking about Tayk leading up to his arrest, and since he got recently resentenced, however you want to phrase it, I wanted to talk about it and yeah, basically do a little deep dive about him because I like to think about it in a more psychological sense. But if you're new, subscribe, like this video, comment, check out my other videos if you haven't already. Make sure you check out my shorts, all that good stuff. Also check out my podcast, Pre Open Minded, on Spotify, and it's available on YouTube for you to enjoy the audio version and the video version. Everything is linked down below. Training post vacations and all my socials are linked down below as well. My lips are very dry and I don't feel like I'm gonna be able to film for very long because my camera's at 2 bars and I didn't know that until like I clicked on it, turned this hoe on. I was like, okay, cool. I'm probably gonna get like 10 minutes tops. I apologize for my absence post last week because I've been studying a lot lately for my history exam. I actually got my test back 2 days ago and I got a 79 on it, and I really locked in last week, so I didn't really have time to think about filming. Like, I felt really guilty, I'm not gonna lie. I felt really guilty because I hate when I get on a momentum of posting and then I start falling off. Especially, you know, the weird thing is I start falling off when I start seeing that my stuff is getting a lot of traction, and I start kind of getting anxious because I've been posting a lot on TikTok, and for the last few days, few weeks, I've been going viral a lot over there, and it's been kind of nerve-wracking. I just went viral the other day because talking about like BNS. If you don't know who they are, it's they're like a LA, California based what is it called, couples channel, whatever you want to call it. And I was talking about their recent video, then that ended up on a tea page that's pretty popular on TikTok. So the person that posted it edited out the parts where I said I still like the creators that I was talking about. All I said was they were very unprofessional in the video because basically they were doing a video where they were going to be working at a Michikana for a few hours, and I just said that they were unprofessional and I was explaining it, and then it got to a tea page, like, bro. And then to top it all off, her video of me got more views than my own video that I made on my own. My video that she took was 27,000 views. Hers got 76,000 views. What kind of makes me kind of upset is that she didn't give me credit. Okay, she didn't give me credit, and then part of me was like, I'm kind of glad because I don't want the hate comments or whatever you want to call it. And on top of that, you should always credit the creator if you get something from them. Like, it's not that hard to look up my name, it's not that hard to tag me. So if she's making money off of my own video, I don't get a dime off of that video from me talking about these people. I just like talking, and then I never know when it's gonna go blow up. Like the Odd D video that I made about her a couple of weeks ago, it could have been at 1 million. My next goal is 1 million views. It's always very close to it. That was the second video that made it to, that was very close to 1 million. It was at 602,000 views before it was taken down by the TikTok gods. And so it's just been a lot. It's been a lot. I've been very anxious because I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting a lot of traction on things, and I'm kind of getting scared because I like to stay in my bubble. Okay, like, you know, it sounds good in theory to go viral on several platforms, but then when you put it in retrospect, it's like kind of nerve-wracking, especially if you have social anxiety. And then the way that the girl edited my video, it was like she took out like a few chunks of what I was saying, and then it made it seem like I was a very negative Nelly person, just going in on them. And I had reasons for it, but like seeing your face while you're scrolling on TikTok on someone else's page is so freaking creepy. Like, who am I? I'm a very small creator, you know what I mean? With the Aunt D video, she has 3 million followers, and she freaking got mad over my video tried messaging me on TikTok. Mind you, this woman is like probably in her 60s, getting her feathers ruffled over what I said, and she was not liking how I was too honest, too blunt, too vulgar about talking about her autistic daughters. And she was talking about me and a few other creators that were talking about her, and she was crashing out on live. It was kind of entertaining. She ended up blocking me, so I didn't get to see the message that she sent me. So I was like, it's been kind of crazy the past few weeks. Like, you probably seen me somewhere, honestly, but I just am like, why? Like, it's overwhelming, like, especially if you're not used to it. It's kind of overwhelming because it's like, oh my god, like, you know what I mean? Like, even my guinea pigs went viral like a week or two ago. It was Cairo and Rico, and they got viral on TikTok. And yeah, it was great, you know. It was great. It was great. I just had to get that out of the way. I am really not a negative person. I really just am a very blunt person, and then I was just observing things, and what I should have done was, yes, I watched the whole 45-minute of that BNS's video, but I should have said that everything was paid for. Like, the influencers paid the people that came through the Michoacana and all that stuff. I forgot to add that part. I was just kind of rushing it. I was just kind of saying whatever came to my brain, and I just posted it not thinking that. So if I did a little bit of research, then I probably wouldn't have a lot of backlash, I will say. But yeah, that's all. Okay, that's all for my 7-minute rant. I'm gonna talk about the Tayk situation. Hopefully I get all these terminologies right, because I'm not really like good about the terminologies when it comes to like law, you know what I mean? So yeah, but basically people have been watching closely on Tayk, or aka Taymor McIntyre, since 2017, when he blew up on SoundCloud, on YouTube, when he posted the song The Race. So it's been kind of interesting. I don't know why it's interesting, because even myself, I keep up with what is going on in his little world, because I was listening to him when he blew up on SoundCloud, and it was during a time where SoundCloud was very popular and I was heavily using it. And then when I heard it, and then a bunch of other influencers and a bunch of like rappers, well-known rappers like 21 Savage, remixing it, like, that's a pretty big deal. And then his story was kind of crazy, like in all areas. It was crazy. Not familiar with him. He's a rapper that was based, he's from Long Beach, but they call him a Texas-based rapper because he did move to Arlington, Texas at some point in his life. SoundCloud in 2017, he went viral for his song The Race, and he basically was confessing to his crimes while being on the run from the police and the US Marshals. In his early life, he moved to Dallas, Fort Worth at the age of 10. His father spent most of Tayk's life in prison. I don't remember what it was for. It's really hard to find stuff on his parents. I don't put a lot of stuff about it, which I feel like is really important to talk about if you want to know about his upbringing and what led to his crimes, because I feel like that's very important, because you don't just wake up and do crimes. Like, when I was watching interviews and stuff like that, okay, my camera's dying. This is what I was talking about. Oh, I almost made it to the 10-minute mark. I was right. When I was watching the interviews, it makes sense on what led to where he is now. Basically, he dropped out of school at the age of 14, and he decided to make a rap group called Daytona Boys.
Take 47 from Daytona Boys. Pimpy from Daytona Boys. Shout out to my nigga Ezra.
Basically, it's just a bunch of boys that were around his age, I believe, that were going to shows really late at night, I heard, and they were just performing their songs that they made. I heard also that Tayk, it took Tayk 30 minutes to make The Race. I forgot to mention that because his sister said that he created that in 30 minutes. In the year of July of 2016, which would make him 16 barely, he had a connection with a robbery and unaliving of a 20-year-old man named Ethan Walker. This is what a lot of people would talk about when they bring up Tay-K, because this is the most well-known crime that he's done. He ended up being released in January of 2017, but he was constantly on a ankle monitor. But in March of the same year, he ended up cutting off his ankle monitor and ended up being on the loose. So this is what made him go viral, because he made the song The Race, and the US Marshals were looking for him, and you could see him in the music video like posing with the missing persons poster and basically just kind of like mocking the police and stuff like that, and doing all this extra shit as he's on the loose. Like, he was literally going from like, I think he was going from state to state, if I don't remember correctly. Really remember, I didn't watch it in real time, I just remember all the stuff after, you know. So basically he was resentenced for another unaliving for a man named Mark Anthony Saldivar back in 2017. I think he was unalived in a Chick-fil-A parking lot, if I don't remember. He was like a photographer, and so he was originally charged with capital murder, and then after the authorities said he pew-pewed and unalived this 23-year-old, he ended up facing life in prison with the possibility of parole before a jury decided to opt for a lesser charge of murder after deliberating it on Monday. This is weeks ago. He's gonna be on parole. He'll be eligible parole in his 60s. So yeah, so at just 16 he essentially unalived the 23-year-old after trying to rob him. Basically, it sounded like, from when I was reading the article for the Mark Anthony Saldivar situation, it sounded like they set him up because he was a photographer. They told him to come over there for pictures apparently, and they ended up robbing him, and they ended up unaliving him for it. So it sounded like it was a setup, probably from his camera equipment. They were probably expensive, and they were trying to like rob him to get money out of it. And to go to trial yet again for his murder, and the judge was giving him like hope and trying to basically also give him accountability for what he did, because obviously the people that he unalived are not here to tell their story. And she was telling him that he can still change his life, even though he's gonna be in jail for a lot of his life. Like right now he is 24, he's gonna be 25 in June, and he still has a lot of years to go. And I don't know if people are gonna be keeping up with him up until his 60s, because it's not like he's making music behind closed bars. It's not like he's really doing a lot right now. He's not really able to do a lot right now because he's behind bars. But I think when it first happened, yeah, it was kind of interesting to see how it went down. But I hated when people were like, free Tay-K, just because he had good music, and they didn't really understand the backstory of what led to this moment. And it's not like he was wrongfully convicted. It wasn't like it was like those people that get convicted for something that they're innocent from. He actually had proof, evidence, all that, and that's why he's where he's at right now. You know, it's not like he's like an innocent person. And I feel like a lot of it, there's been a lot of talks about oh well, he was a minor when he did it, and I'm gonna be talking about that because a psychologist was in the room while all this was going down. Talked about his childhood, and there was a defense for Tayk, and he was worried about how long he will stay in prison because he had come from a long years of generational trauma, violence, foster care, drug stuff, and SWs. I don't know if I can say the real word. And so the psychologist was there, and she, or I don't know, they stated that since he was so young when he did the crimes, his frontal lobe wasn't developed yet. The judge ended up sentencing him for 80 The judge ended up sentencing him for 80 years. The psychologist and the defense person was trying to say, like, trying to put in the judge's mind that like he has a lot of issues and this is why he's did what he did. I get where they're coming from, but like this is why you should understand. Like I feel like he understands right from wrong, and like it's not like they were harming him in any way. It sounded like they were just innocent people that were just there at the wrong time, and he gets a harsher sentence than other people because he's the one that pulled the trigger. So he has to be held accountable for those crimes because they're not here, and they could have been in their late 20s or 30s by now, probably having families and stuff. And like when you're in an environment like when it's constant trauma, like it does take a toll on you, but it doesn't make everyone like that goes through trauma like a mass murderer. Because how many, like before he got really caught, like how many more people would have hurt? Like this is why I have to separate the person from the artist, because he's one of the many artists that are not innocent. Like R. Kelly's one of them. He's a weirdo. Not mistaken, I do remember hearing a long time ago that his mom was a Crip, so obviously he knew about weapons and stuff because he was probably around it a lot. And being in Long Beach in Crip territory, like that just sounds like a recipe for a disaster. You watch his music videos, he's constantly toting a weapon, like constantly, and he's constantly with a bunch of people. And I think when I put it together, this is when he was bouncing house to house because he was homeless at some point, and because his mom kicked him out, and he was also a runaway. Honestly, that's just not someone that I would hang out with. If I saw him at my school, I would not be hanging out with him because I just know that like we would not be aligning. But he probably felt like the reason why he was with those people is probably because he felt like a sense of community, because it sounded like when they moved to Texas, they didn't really have a community of people around them. So he was probably searching for some sort of safe space for himself. Now we're gonna be talking about the interview that Tay-K's sister did back in like a couple years ago. Moore's sister, his name is Kayla, so I'm gonna be referring her as Kayla in this. So she was the one that was interviewed, basically was talking about their childhood and what went down. And I could tell that it was very hard for her to do. And I could tell that she wasn't trying to bash her parents, but they're ultimately the reason why they are the way they are now. During their childhood, she expressed that they were in foster care the majority of their lives, and they weren't really around their parents growing up. Their mom did lose custody of them. I don't really know why. When their dad got out of prison, he ended up gaining custody of them and moving them to Texas. Felt like she didn't have a chance to get to know her extended family, because the interviewer did ask, like, do you have other family members? Like, were they involved? And she didn't really get to know them because she was bouncing from house to house a lot in foster care, and then their dad got them. She lived with her dad. Her and her brother would run away, and she said it's because he was very abusive towards them and he would beat on them a lot for whatever reason. And then she felt like there also wasn't like a lot of structure living with the dad, but she also felt like he was doing his best because she felt like they were bad children. But I feel like she probably feels like she had to say that because it was like, when you look back on it, and now that she has her kids on her own, she can understand. But I don't feel like they were bad kids. Probably, I always heard that there is no such thing as a bad kid. They just are lacking things from their household, and they're acting out because they want attention or something is going on in the house. So clearly something was going on in all these houses and they were acting out because of it. But I just don't feel like you should excuse the abuse of what you went through, because it's just more generational trauma. And I don't know if it's her version of forgiving, because forgiving is a step of healing, but I just don't want it to be like where he is just excused. She also said that she felt like they didn't deserve what they went through, which is true. She also said they tried running away to go to their mom's house, and then their mom ended up kicking them out when they were like, Tay-K was 15 and she was almost 17. So in the state of Texas, She actually explained this in the video, that when you are 17, you're basically an adult. So she wasn't considered a runaway. But since Tayk was 15 when he started running away, he was still a minor, and he was still being like, they were still trying to search for him and stuff like that because he was considered a runaway. And I do remember like hearing the weird age of consent laws out here, because I remember when I was on like heavily onto the dating apps when I was like 19 years old, 20 years old, there was this guy that I used to talk to, and he told me that his brother, who was a few years younger than him at this point when we were talking, he was still in high school, and he told me that like his girlfriend was like 20 or 21 years old. And I remember being like, why is she 20 talking to like a 17-year-old? Like, why are they dating? Like, I don't understand, isn't that weird? And I remember being hella uncomfortable about that. And he was like, oh, that's just how it is out here, like it's legal. And I'm like, that's so weird. And it's just really weird because I'm 24 right now, and I can't see myself dating a 17-year-old. Like, that's really odd. Like, even if it's legal, I can't. Like, I'm choosing hard because it's uncomfortable. But it's like, he probably thought like he was mature for his age. And I just remember like that long talk we had about how uncomfortable and kind of weird it is, but I didn't want her to like come for me, you know what I mean? Because in the real world, it's not normal. He was also saying in the video that she felt her and Tayk were very trusting of others, like probably adults, and they kind of like took advantage of that because they were kids and they probably felt defenseless and stuff like that. And she felt like their upbringing is the reason why Tayk is the way he is. And that kind of like wrapped it up for the video. I do feel really bad, and I do remember people saying that they felt like he deserved another chance at life. And I do want to talk about, like, hypothetically, like, imagine if that happened. I don't feel like he had a lot of resources to get help. I heard that people in foster care really go through like a lot, and it's often very, very traumatic because they get into a lot of weird situations and they often feel like stuck because they're not able to do anything about it. I mean, I don't really know much about it. I didn't really grow up around a lot of adopted people. I can only imagine how traumatic that can be. And especially since I don't know if they were in foster care together, like they went they were put in the same house together, like shameless, you know, or if they were separated. Because even if they were separated, I feel like that's even more scary, because like how can you defend yourself, you know? I feel really bad for him, but I don't know if he will really like take the steps to get himself help for all the traumas he went through if he did have a chance at life. I understand why people are upset because, you know, he was 16 when he did it, but he should have known right from wrong, you know what I mean? Like, he should have never been robbing anyone. He should have never been hurting anyone in that way. And I don't know if he was trying to prove himself to people that he was tough, he was hard. Yeah, I came from Crip territory, like, what about it? Like, that type shit. But like, it gets really crazy because it sounded like it was like, at first I was thinking it was like initiation, because I know when you get into gangs, you have to do some really crazy shit to prove that you're worthy of being one of them. And I don't know if he was in a gang, but the stuff that he was doing kind of like low-key sounded like it. But I feel bad that those two people are not here anymore. And I feel like people often forget they're not here, and they're kind of just focusing on, oh, he needs another chance, this and the third. Like, you have to also have empathy for the people that aren't here because they don't have a chance to tell their story. And justice is being served in this situation, but I just wish he gotten help before it even got bad. Like, it sounded like they were like really smart kids, and then stuff just happened to them, and then things turned a turn for the worse. I wish that I knew more about her, because I feel like that would have been a more clear understanding of them as a whole. You know, I couldn't really find a lot about the mom, I couldn't find a lot about the dad, and it was really hard to do this video because of it. And that's another reason why I was kind of pushing it off, because I was trying to get my notes ready, and there wasn't a lot of sources about his situation. Like, they have a few here and there, but it's really not a lot. He is a product of his environment, because even when he moved to the suburbs, they were still like kind of going through it, and still, I mean, they were going through it at home, and even though they were in the suburbs, they were still going through it at home, and which led them to run away. And so I just feel like it's embedded in them. And with those crib situations, there's normally like generations and generations of them. And so I don't know if his dad is also one, but I know for a fact that his mom is one, because it has been talked about before. Not a lot, but it has been briefly talked about. This is when you start really learning about nature versus nurture, because he is a product of his environment. And even though like he already knew the gangbang life, it seemed like it really took over him, honestly, because for him to be like 16 flashing stuff like that is kind of crazy, because we're the same age, and I could never see myself doing that. Like, I hung around people that were the bad kids, but I was never ever influenced. I'm so glad I wasn't the type of person that was influenced by things like that. I don't know if he would have potential, because he didn't have the proper resources to get help. People think that he has lost potential, and I get what they're saying, but like, I don't really know if he would gotten the help if he had like was given to it, because it's hard, honestly, especially if your family is not around. Like, your family doesn't go to therapy, and they just kind of sit in their thoughts, and they kind of just take their frustrations out and anger on everyone else and not get the proper help. It does get kind of hard, because there is a huge stigma around people of color and therapy, and that people don't go to therapy if you're a person of color, because it's a sign of weakness. When it really shouldn't be, because I feel like once you go to therapy, you're acknowledging that you have a problem and that you want it to get fixed. But it's also very expensive. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Actually, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts under this video. I would love to hear your thoughts. I like reading your guys' comments every single time, even if it's a very old video from like 3-4 years ago. I still respond to it, because I would hate for them to feel ignored, but I do respond to all the comments, even if there's 1,000, because girl, there was like about 1,000 comments under that one video that almost got 1 million, and I was responding to everyone. Like, it was hard. The commitment is real. But I'm gonna go. I'll see you next week or a couple days, I don't know. Bye bye.